This morning we're going to look at MongoDB with the less than or equal to operator involving letters. Letters operate a little differently than numbers, and they're not quite as intuitive as numbers are. So first of all, we're going to fire up Mongo here. Second, connect to our database, and then we are going to head over to the SQL Server collection. And we will notice that we have several values, and I'm going to call them columns. Understand that they are key value pairs. However, many people at this channel are thinking in the world of SQL, so these would be the equivalent of columns in SQL. These are actually keys, and these are the values. So we have the key financial, key / column financial, and we have the value stocks. We have bonds, stocks, futures. Futures looks like basically we have futures, stocks, and bonds. Makes sense. Okay. So what happens if we wanted to use the less than or equal to operator on the letters? And one misconception I've seen, even in the SQL world too as well, is that you can't use these on characters, and we'll see that that's false. Okay, so the first thing is, let's look at all the values that are less than G. Okay, and while I'm typing this out, it'd be awesome for you to think about, what do you think will be returned if I say less than G? Based on the fact that we have stocks, bonds, and futures. You'll also notice that when I type in the less than operator here, I am placing the value inside of parentheses. It is a string, and it is not a number. Okay, all right, so let's look. So we get futures back, we get futures, and we also get bonds. So when we say less than G, if you think of the alphabet as a line, and that's how I always like to think of the alphabet, that's kind of the visual image I actually have in my head when I think of the alphabet, is like this line, and you have A on the very far left, and you have Z on the very far right. What this is saying is, when I say G and I say less than, it's actually looking to the left of that value, right? And we can test that for a second. We can do this, and let's do less than or equal to F. And you will notice that it only returns one value, financial. And in fact, if we were to say less than instead of less than or equal to, it returns the same value too, bonds. Now if I were to say less than or equal to G, it would return everything as well. So essentially, this is how it works, is it's saying everything to the left of the value that I'm passing in. And what that would mean, since we know that we have stocks, we have bonds, and we have futures, it's embarrassing to say that I have to actually go through the alphabet to think about what's after T. I'm sorry, S is T. But yes, that is true. Less than or equal to, if I were to say T, I should receive everything back, since stocks is the last value, starting with S. And you will notice that stocks comes back as well as futures and as well as bonds. So that's how to do less than or equal to in letters.